All right, so how do you become the most interesting man in the room? You ever walked in a room and you saw this guy and he just was able to capture a lot of people's attention. He had this sort of mystique to him, but at the same time, everybody related to him. He was very relatable. He was somebody that everybody wanted to be around, right? That's something that you can easily do. It's not a hard thing to get done, right? I wouldn't say easy. I'll say it's simple to do. It takes time. It takes work to be able to get to becoming the most interesting man in the room. And one key that I've learned from watching other people, from even applying this to my own life, is essentially creating this juxtaposition, right? Being a walking paradox. What does that mean? This essentially means that you are a person who has multiple different interests that may not correlate with each other, but they're all still a part of you. You've been able to master different elements of life that are unrelated, right? For example, you're somebody who you're in shape, right? You're jacked. You're somebody who you can also speak very well. You have really good communication. You have a unique sense of style, right? That's fitting for you, right? There's some people, they wear very simplistic clothing like myself. I don't really wear anything that's way out there. I don't wear designer clothing. I wear a lot of plain clothing. I wear a lot of earth tone. There's a lot of things that you can put together and it matches my physique as well. So my presentation is great. And that's something that you need to work on is your presentation, right? And also these people's self-image. These people's self-image are literally bulletproof. The way that they believe in themselves. Because if they didn't believe in themselves, they wouldn't have acquired the myriad of skills that they were able to acquire to be the most interesting man in the room. So how do you do this for yourself? One, get in shape, of course, right? Get in shape because a lot of people, believe it or not, are not in shape. They're not going to the gym. They're not training. They don't look like they've trained, right? If you do that, that will give you a leg up in the room compared to a lot of people. It's happened to me many times. I can't say it's a reality. I wish I could say that it wasn't and that I was just sitting here BSing you, but it's really the truth. It's made me stand out from a visual perspective. It's changed the way my face looks. It's changed the way my mood is. It's changed the way that my clothes fit me. And it's changed the way that people perceive me, right? The next thing you have to do is you have to start diving into different interests that may not even be related to your character. So for example, you go learn chess, right? Because now you can start to use chess as a parable when you speak, which makes you incredibly interesting, right? You can start as you have conversations with people, you can refer back to chess and use chess lessons to talk to people. This is something that Andrew Tate does with chess, right? Because that was what he did when he was younger. He played a lot of chess. Does he look like a man that plays chess? Honestly, I don't really think so personally. Like, he doesn't strike me as somebody that, well, as you listen to him, you see it. But it's not necessarily something, he doesn't look like a chess grandmaster, right? He looks like a guy who is in shape. He looks like a guy who is quote unquote masculine, right? And he also plays this very distinct art. He does this distinct art called chess, this game called chess. He plays it and he uses it as metaphors in a lot of his speech. The most interesting people in the room, they know how to use metaphors based on their life experiences, based on their skill sets, right? So you can learn chess. You can learn the piano. This is literally what I'm learning right now for myself, the piano, right? When you play the piano, it gives you a leg up because it gives you a more classical feel. It's something that a lot of people don't know how to do. So you learn how to play the piano, you're in shape, right? Doesn't correlate. A lot of people who are in shape don't necessarily play musical instruments as much. The people who are incredibly jacked, they don't necessarily dive into these sophisticated arts. You can start to dive into these things and start to make yourself stand out in rooms. And people will want to know who you are, right? The way that you carry yourself. You carry yourself in a way that you're observing the room. That's another thing. If you want to be perceived as a very interesting person, start to observe other people and start to understand who they are and start to talk in the way that they want, the way that they speak, their code, right? The most interesting man in the room knows how to talk to each person in that room based on each person's code. So you have to understand how to speak in somebody's code, right? So you have the skills that you're learning. For example, you can go boating, learn how to ride a boat. Right? Because then when you get into social situations, maybe you're in a more affluent environment and you step up and you say, hey, I know how to drive the boat. People will be like, man, you don't even look like you can drive the boat. Right? That will help you become more interesting to people because it's a juxtaposition. It's why on YouTube, people have watched me a lot because I'm an interesting person. I look like I just work out all the time, but I also have all of these unique takes and I have all of these different knowledge vectors that I can pull from. and I can create an entire personality of myself. Interesting people are multidimensional. They know how to do different things in different areas of life. Financially, they understand how to read a balance sheet. They understand how to manage money. They can speak to somebody that needs help with that. Everybody, the thing that you need to understand, everybody around you needs help in some way, shape, or form. They need advice in some way, shape, or form. The more that you inform yourself, the more that you get skilled in different areas of life, you can provide insights to these people to where they see you as a very interesting person. And a lot of people may be saying, well, Martel, I don't really want to be an interesting person. I just want to sit in my room. Forget people. People are horrible. That's not how the world works, my friend. The world does not work in the way that you don't have to talk to people. You're going to have to talk to people at work. You're going to have to talk to people in your business. You're going to have to talk to people in everything that you do. When you go to the grocery store, you're going to have to talk to people. So you have to understand how you can make yourself to be an interesting person so that people find value in you, and then your network can expand. Because the more people that find you interesting, the more they're going to want to connect you to other people. And the reason why you're not interesting right now is because you're not diving into new things. You're not learning new things on a regular basis. You're not reading books. See, the most interesting man in the room knows how to pull lessons from the books that he's read and refer those books to other people. He's well read, right? He understands the current economic times. He can speak on that. A lot of people are interested in understanding that. A lot of people are diving into that. If you can start to have conversations around that, you're going to be considered a very interesting person. And when you have very interesting viewpoints, right, you can start to speak on that. That leads me to the next point. You have to start to have your own values. The most interesting man in the room has unique values that are specific to himself, that is not influenced by other people. Your values on politics, your values on life, your values on business, what your personal values are what is going to make you stand out from the sea of people who, to be honest with you, have no values. They don't have any inherent values that they feel, or they're afraid to voice those values because they're afraid of other people's opinions. The most interesting man in the room does not care about other people's opinions. He cares about making himself as real as possible so that people understand who he is, so that he can be comfortable in his own skin. If you are walking into rooms and you're not comfortable in your own skin, you're essentially just trying to mirror what you think other people want to see from you, which is the worst thing to do, because then it puts you in stress mode. Then it puts you in a position where you don't necessarily understand how to communicate your authentic self to that person. That's how you become very interesting in this world. That's how people start to be captivated by how you speak. Learn speech, learn diction. The more you read, the more you write, the more your speech will start to develop. The more you'll be able to communicate with people in a more sophisticated way. This is what you need to understand if you want to be the most valuable man, or the most valuable and the most interesting man in the room. A lot of people fall off with this, right? A lot of people, they learn one thing and then they make their whole personality around that one thing, and it makes them not interesting because you're not surprising anybody. Everyone already knew who you were. See, when people see me and I go and I eat with other people and I'm able to eat the foods that they're eating that are considered unhealthy, but I still look like I'm in shape, it makes me interesting and it sparks conversations. Bro, how did you eat that food, but you look like that? It makes you interesting. It makes it seem like you know something that they don't. And that's the cornerstone of being an interesting man, is that you know something that a lot of people don't know yet. And you're introducing these nuanced takes that you have with other people. This is how you dominate social platforms. This is how you dominate physical social conversations. This is how you dominate relationships. It's how you dominate relationships with a woman. Women love interesting men. You have to be very interesting. You have to have so many different facets. It's like the most interesting man in the room has almost like, he's like an onion. It's an endless peel. You just keep peeling him back. And there's so many layers to his personality. There's so many layers to his interests. There's so many layers to who he is that you just can't understand how somebody will be able to present themselves in a way that's so multifaceted, so multidimensional. He's not just on one dimension. He has layers of dimensions that you can continuously peel back. And people are interested in speaking to somebody that they can constantly keep peeling and get new information and get new insights about who they are and get new insights about the world. You have to present yourself in that manner. And you also have to back it up with what you know. Again, the more books you read, the more interesting you'll be. The more hobbies that you learn, the more interesting you'll be. You'll even be more interesting to yourself. This is a good question I like to ask myself. I used to do this a lot, and you should do this for yourself. You should ask yourself, would I be interesting to myself? Do I find myself interesting? What I've noticed is a lot of people, they don't actually find themselves interesting to themselves. They would be bored sitting with themselves in a room. I'm not saying that's you, but if that is you, then that means you need to start learning new skills. You need to start wowing yourself by acquiring new knowledge, new skill sets, new viewpoints, new understandings of life, diving into situations. The most interesting men in the room, they've done high risk situations, right? Maybe you go learn a fight sport. That's what I'm doing now. I'm kickboxing. It gives me a new perspective on life. It also gives me something that I can introduce myself as something that I do. I'm a fighter, right? So you have to be able to create these different layers of yourself so that you not only are interesting to other people, but you're interesting to yourself. A lot of people ask me, Martel, like, I can't grow on YouTube. People aren't watching me. Well, you may not be interesting enough. You may not have done enough or known enough so that people actually want to continuously watch you. That's what it is. It's interest. You generate interest within yourself, and then other people start to see the interest that you actually have, and they start to fall into you. They want you. They see your aura. They see how you glow. They see all of the things that you know, and they see you as somebody that they can consistently have conversations with. So that's what's going to be important for you in 2024 and beyond, is to get yourself to become the most interesting person in the room. Once you do this, everything else will fall into place. All right? If you like this, tap in, free Telegram. I talk all about this stuff. All right? I talk about my thoughts. I talk about my worldviews. I talk about how you can craft your own worldviews. I give you game on a lot of different things. All right? Tap in with me. Link is in the description. I appreciate you. If you're interested, if you are an interesting person and you want to be able to show yourself on social media, especially on YouTube, tap in with me as well. Link is in the description. My group coaching around building a personal brand and monetizing it on YouTube to be able to expand your influence. All right. I appreciate you. Share this with a friend. I'll catch you on the next video.